10?
10.
Yeah,
No, no.
Can't.
I don't know which way to have it.
no, she quit.
If you have too much, you can always say, you know, I'm too busy, I really can't.
Well,
I usually,
Sandra,
the surveyor, I usually
she was a tax collector.
I can't let
Alright.
She's done with taxes and
That's true.
registration and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and everybody understand, right?
Well,
I understand, okay.
They needed-
We're on?
I didn't see
We're on.
Woo-hoo. Good evening, welcome to April 24th, 25 Planning Board meeting. A little late, but we won't blame anybody for that. First, I want to welcome Ray LeMay to the board as an alternate. This is the first meeting, so welcome.
Probably what I ought to do first is swear two people in.
Uh-huh. Yeah, do that then.
Ray LeMay and Ray Menard need to take the oath of office.
I did that at the selectmen's meeting.
Yeah, I think it's Danny Jean.
Now, I gotta be.
That's what her note
Actually,
said.
Ray Menard did it.
Yep.
Yours is blank though.
Well, that's, yeah, that's, I don't know why.
So,
You can do it again.
you wanna do it
You
again?
get to swear.
I gotta do it again.
Do you have that email?
All right.
Here, you can read it.
Doesn't the town clerk have to, doesn't the town clerk have to do that?
No,
That's Ray Menard's.
Okay.
Go back to this is
that is Ray Menard. Ray Menard, you know it.
You can go up there and do it.
Okay, one of you two have to quit.
Ray Menard.
President accounted for.
We had two Rays working for us at the office one time. I called one Ray and one was R2.
After,
I just hated R2, but it worked.
Okay, Ray.
I, Ray Menard, do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all duties incumbent upon me as planning board member for a term of 3 years, according to the best of my abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations of this Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire. So help me God.
Good. You're in. You do.
Anything else, Mr. Fillmore?
No, that was it.
Okay, now the first item on the agenda is a lot line adjustment for Robert Downey and Sean and Carol Hickey. 424 and 428 Reservoir Drive, tax map 401, lot 17 and 18. I assume Mr. Jacques.
Jacques. Thank you for having us back. Same as last month, but the shed has been removed, that was a problem. You want to start from the beginning, you have to accept it's complete, or
Yeah, we gotta go through the acceptance complete.
you're asking for a waiver as well?
Same waivers, I assume.
Waiver.
Mr. Fillmore, you have the application. Uh-oh.
No, I do. It's in here. I'll pass this whole folder down to you.
Do you need one?
Oh, come on.
I don't want to get hung
I
up.
don't think that'd be quite right. Not that I don't trust you, but, you know. How do I know which one's which? Okay, here we go. Looking for a waiver for wetlands on the Downey property. Right?
Correct.
Only.
Only, yeah, we've got it mapped on the rest of the properties.
Yes. I have the big map here in case anybody wants to see it. But it still shows it. I assume that one does not show the
Show what?
woodshed.
No, it does not show the shed. I didn't give you new plans other than the 8.5 by 11 by 17s.
I understand. So we need a waiver for the wetlands on lot 17. And it appears the application's complete, if anybody wants to look.
It's the same as last time, right?
Yep, same as last time.
Okay. You can see it.
I also assume this is not to be recorded.
Not to be
Just
recorded.
those
We'll do-
thr- Those three sheets.
Those three, yep. That's just for display.
We do both at the same time?
You can do both at the same time if you'd like.
Move to accept the waiver for number 14 and the application complete.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Thank you. All right, I guess we can kind of talk about the whole thing again. What we have is lot 17 has a well that's been over the lot line since the house was originally built back, I think probably in the 80s. The original house burnt, they built a new one on the same foundation, used the same well. At that point, it was brought up that the well was over the lot line and nobody ever did anything about it. Mr. Hickey and Mr. Downey, they've been at odds with each other about it, and it finally got to head and had a mediated agreement that Mr. Downey's buying 1,806 square feet from Hickey. So we're creating that bit of a bubble in the lot line. I think there's 6 or 7 pins we'll need to set, and transferring 1,806 feet to the Downey lot. It's really pretty simple other than that. We did have a problem last month because of a shed. That even though it became after the lot line adjustment, it was all on Downey land, it was still non-conforming because it was within the setback line. And that kind of caused us a bit of a hiccup. So our application was denied because of that, because of the issue with the zoning. And Mr. Downey agreed to take down the shed, and he did that, I think, within a week or so. And here we are now, just same plan, same application. Everything's the same except for the shed's gone.
I did email the town council about that to get an opinion, and I didn't get a final opinion because he hasn't seen a map. He's leaning towards it would not be pre-existing because it wasn't pre-existing the ordinance. So, he didn't say that, he wants to see a map, so I'm gonna take a picture of this map and send it to him tomorrow, so we can get an official opinion. Anyway, either way, it doesn't matter for this application. Can I ask Mr. Costello a question, since this application's open and he happens to be here? You knew that was coming, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
What's the status of the all-trades train permit on Hickey?
I think everybody is dragging their feet on it at the state.
Okay, so it has
I've
been,
had conversations with them, and the reviewer And he asked me to file for a waiver for one of the aspects of the alteration of terrain permit. I
Oh,
did
I'm
that.
sorry, I should have asked you to come on the microphone, because we got a YouTube thing and it helps with minutes and all that kind of stuff. I apologize.
That's all right. Anthony Costello. And I'm waiting to hear back from them still. It's been, I don't know, a year and a half, at least. This might not be appropriate, but I haven't gotten paid for this, so I'm not, when he gets into trouble, then he'll have to give me a call. So I'm not doing anything to move forward with it because I'm not being pushed and I'm not being paid, so.
Last you heard it, been
State,
submitted.
the state has it,
submitted,
there's
yeah.
been a review, the reviewer was actually trying to help us out and asked me to ask for a waiver. I did that and I haven't heard back from them since, and like I said, I'm not gonna waste my time.
Who's the reviewer?
Ridge Mock,
Okay, I think I remember that name.
yeah, he's retiring,
Yeah.
he's working part-time, but he's run AOT for
Ivor.
15 or 20 years, yeah.
I know who you mean.
Yep,
Met with them many times. Okay, thank you. I think I'll shoot Ridge an email. Ask the same question.
I think the wetlands permit, I think,
I was told it was approved.
well, at the time, I think the stabilization's approved.
okay.
That was a big thing, it was a big push, it was in the fall, trying to get things buttoned up before winter. And I think he did everything he was supposed to do for that, to stabilize it. As for the impacts, I don't know where that stands.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions, comments? My notes from last time said we had 6 monuments to be set. I assume those still need to be set.
It's 6 to be set.
We need owner signature and a wetland stamp and signature from Josh.
Yes, I was just remembering, because our original wetlands guy died.
Right. I
Okay.
remember that conversation,
Yeah.
yes. Comments, suggestions?
Those are the only three things.
That was it, yes.
You're talking about signatures on the plan as well as the deed.
Both parties assigned the final plan, final Mylar and plan set.
Yep, but you also need the documents.
Yes.
Yep.
Seeing that the shed has been removed and now this lot line adjustment is in compliance, we'll move to approve with 3 stipulations, 6 monuments to be met, wetland stamp, and signatures.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Thank you.
Great, thanks for helping us.
Next item on the agenda is conceptual hearing for William and, I can't pronounce her last name, Mackenzie, 657 South Stark Highway, tax map 411, 113. And we have Mr. Costello again.
yes. 4 copies, so we can share. This could be a very short discussion, or it could be a long one, or somewhere in between.
Is the commercial line 200 feet still?
So what we have is Mr. McKenzie owns a piece of property that's located on Route 114, the commercial zone. It also abuts onto Renshaw Road. And he approached us to do a residential subdivision on the property. And the zoning specifically prohibits residential in the commercial district. I had contacted Naomi to ask her if there was anything that we could do to change that or make this work, because we would be coming off of a road that has residential houses on it. we've got the zoning map which shows the zoning on it. We've got an aerial photograph that also shows an outline, you can see the houses around it. And the last page, the 11 by 17, is what we would, something like what we would like to do on the property. So I guess we're here to ask the board's opinion, any type of comments that you guys have, if this is something that might be doable, and if it is, what are we gonna need to do to make this happen?
You get a variance.
We can just get a variance through the ZBA? Okay, and then we would just get the variance to change, is it like the zone change, that's what, I'm not sure.
They need a variance to build in the commercial zone.
Yeah, but you can't do a residential subdivision in a commercial zone.
No.
Wasn't there just some bill in New Hampshire?
There is,
Yeah, that hasn't passed yet.
no.
It still wouldn't apply because it's commercially zoned.
The other problem is, have you looked at the access off Renshaw?
Yes.
Pretty wet.
Well, there's already a road that goes through. There is a wetland crossing, but in the area, if you look at this plan here, if you look towards where the cul-de-sac begins, the wetland doesn't go through that area. There's an existing driveway through there. So we would need a wetlands permit. I mean, we're not getting to that point until we know if we can actually do something out there.
You may want to address that sooner than later, because the Wetlands Board is not fans of giving a wetlands permit when there's another way in.
Well, wouldn't that also have to do with our wetlands buffer too?
So you need a variance for the wetlands buffer impact and the,
Special exception or a variance? Well, it doesn't matter, we need something, but we would apply for all the permits that we need to get. If we're impacting the wetlands, we'll get a wetlands through the state. If there are things through the town,
I'm 99% sure it's a variance for the buffer also.
okay. We're just trying to figure out if this is something that would be able to do.
yeah. Yeah, and the
What
variance is the first.
other access do you have? Oh, that little bit of 114 frontage.
There's an existing house, and I think, depending on what we do, I think the idea might be, is to subdivide that piece off with the house, and maybe that stays commercial, so in the future, if somebody wants to buy that, it makes more sense to have the commercial, with access right off of 114 and not have a commercial development off of Renshaw. But again, we're not at that stage yet, because if we're not gonna be able to do a residential subdivision, then
And it wouldn't change the zoning of it, right? It would just be a variance to allow a subdivision in a
I would
commercial-
suggest your variance allow lot sizing per the residential zoning district. Rather than just saying you want the use variance, because then you get into all kinds of what size the lots, what's the setback, what's the residential setback in a commercial zone. And it might get at least confusing, if not ugly. You know what I mean?
well, that's why we're here, right?
Right, I understand.
We
And
already put some,
I thought this was gonna be real quick, like you can't do it, you're gonna leave, so
Right.
I didn't think about it too much.
yeah,
But I think when you get in, if you got the variance to put a residential subdivision in a commercial zone, then you gotta think about what's the lot sizing, what's the side setback, what's the rear setback. And I would just say you wanna treat it like it's a residentially zoned property. That'd be the cleanest, I think.
Have you determined you can put 9 lots in, is that the case?
I haven't done any of that yet. This is just put together to give you an idea as to what we would like to do. These lot sizes are based off of the soil types and the zoning for whatever the zone, I think it was,
Residential, probably.
for residential, I think, yeah.
Well, this is a cluster, right? I mean,
Yes. So we'd have to do a conventional to see what the density would be.
Yeah, you gotta do a yield plan.
That yield plan would tell us how many lots we could get, whether it's 9 or 5 or 15, but we'll get to that.
What's the total acreage of the parcel?
70 acres, I believe.
4.5.
That's 75.
If you get the variance, like you said, you're gonna have to do the yield plan. You wanna think about the ownership of the open space?
Yep.
The last one we did, which is actually Cortland Estates up the road here by Three Corners. The open space is owned by the homeowner association, and there's a, town has an easement over that. That's, seems to be the cleanest we can come up with so far. Outright ownership, then there's a lot of monitoring.
It always seems to be an issue with the open space, 'cause it
Yes.
sounds easy when you're going through this process, and at the end, when you have to find somebody to take care of it and own it, you can't find anybody.
Nobody
Nobody
wants-
wants the responsibility.
Nobody wants to monitor it.
Well, I must front another piece that's, has an easement on it, possibly. You aware of that?
I'm not aware of that. No, it hasn't been surveyed. I'm a civil engineer, and Jacques had started doing some survey work to locate wetland flags. Part of the property's been flagged for wetlands. Jacques located them, but there hasn't been any, we've been just at the conceptual phase to see what we can do and if it's gonna be feasible for the landowner to go forward. You know, if you can get, we originally wanted to put some frontage lots off of Renshaw, but it's all wetland on the sides of it, so we wouldn't be able to get anything that met the town requirements. We'd have to go past the wetlands, and all the buildable land would be on the back side of it. So it just made more sense to just put a road in and put a cluster back there where you could do the smaller lots. So we got to that point, then, like I said, I'm the civil engineer, so I design roads. But I was putting the conceptual together, and I was looking through the zoning regs, and like, number one is like, there's no residential allowed in a commercial zone, so that's why I dropped what I was doing and contacted Naomi to see if there was any way that we could get around it. She says to come see you guys might be able to help us out. So it sounds like the next step is to go to the ZBA to get a variance.
Well, you could go to the town too, I think. Yep.
Well, yeah, you can change the zoning next.
Change the
next
zoning.
Yeah, I don't know if you, well, that's an option too, yeah,
That's a long wait, of course.
yeah,
I mean, obviously you don't get the variance, you can still
right. Go forward, yeah.
go petition. Petition has to be in sometime in December, obviously.
Wouldn't the land be more profitable as a commercial development?
And you're asking the wrong person. I just design roads.
Probably, honestly, probably.
I think, I think part of this is, it's coming off of Renshaw, which is a residential neighborhood, and then to put a commercial development in that area might not be beneficial to the people that live in that area. If you got commercial trucks going in and out, I don't know.
Well, if they did a cul-de-sac like you show there and have this be a commercial development, you wouldn't really be traveling the length of Renshaw.
Right,
I'll be blunt, I looked at the property abutting the end of Renshaw, the Cold Spring zones.
yeah.
Trying to do something in that. Last 5 years ago, maybe I started looking at that. And we thought about coming out Renshaw, but we don't have the rights to it, but we thought the same thing, a commercial development going out Renshaw, that would just upset a lot of people real fast.
And coming out of where the existing house is, it drops off. I mean, there's a driveway there, but I just wouldn't, it would be tough coming out of there with larger vehicles. But, you know, it's not, there's also a lot of wetland on the east side of this property. A lot of the treed areas are wetland based off of old maps that we've seen from other surveying companies. I think you worked on it, I've
Yeah.
heard, so it's all your fault.
About 1989.
Yeah. It might not be wet now, I don't know. But we,
Might be wetter if he was working on it.
all right, so it just sounds like we need to go to the ZBA. That'll be step one, get that, and then we'll go through the planning board process if we can get our variance. And if we don't get the variance, I guess at the ZBA, then we'll go try to get it rezoned at the town meeting. That probably would be the, you think about that, Bill? We'll go to the ZBA for a variance, and then if that doesn't work, try to get the land rezoned at the town meeting.
Well, I would think a variance would be the logical first step.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. Silly question. Would multifamily buildings like apartment buildings, I know it's residential, but could that be deemed commercial?
I think the only thing, not a lot of single-family residential and commercial, single-family duplex.
So if somebody put in a quadruplex,
Multifamily.
would fall under commercial?
Yeah, I believe so.
Let me see what that exact wording is.
And would those require separate site plans? Or could you just pull a building for like a quadruplex
No, you need a site plan.
site plan?
Non-permitted uses, residential homes. I would think a quad would be a residential.
Well, I would agree with that, but I've also had instances where I've been told that they're commercial, so I didn't know if it could be,
I don't know, it's not, read further in that. That was a,
there's something at the end of the regs.
You're good. Residential homes, a one or two family dwelling, by definition.
So if we did an apartment complex or,
Threeplex, fourplex.
Yeah.
Yeah, do a little condo development back there. That might be the way to go.
yeah. All right, well, we've got
Density-
some
the
options.
Density would be a good question, because I don't know what the density would be like.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is how would you go about, would it, what I've seen with other towns do is they'll take the existing buildable area on the property, and they'd say that the zoning in this area is 2 acres per single-family unit, and you look at the buildable area and say you have 20 acres, you divide it by the required acreage, and that would give you your density. I don't know if the town has anything,
we have a chart.
oh, that works too.
Yeah, but that's in the residential district. This is commercial.
Yeah, commercial's 2 acres, right?
That's all.
Correct. Two,
Two.
page 31. But then it says 24.3.1, it says any use permitted in the residential rural.
That's what I'm thinking, that they could apply the chart to that.
Yeah.
Is it the chart with the by soils type? Yeah.
Minimum lot size is 2 acres.
Yeah.
Oh, for commercial use. Minimum lot size for any permitted commercial use shall be 2 acres.
I think that's the number I used. On the plan, on this plan here, I've got some of the zoning information on there for the commercial zone. But I think the minimum lot size is based off soil types or 2 acres, whichever is higher. Like the minimum of 2 acres.
I think you would be safe doing that, because the residential zone has that chart that Bruce was talking about. Right there.
Yep. Well, we could do it that way. We could just add up all the, I've got this many,
Density,
square
to get
feet of
density.
this soil, and it
You
allows,
basically do a yield plan,
Yeah.
showing this.
Right.
Yield
Well,
plan shows 15 lots, you get 15
well,
units.
without the conventional subdivision, this will be tough because of the way that the property is, the wetlands on the property, like this narrow part through here. You could build a road all the way through here and only get like 2 lots, because this is all wetland, and that doesn't count towards,
Price doesn't matter.
so, what's that?
Cost of the road doesn't matter.
No, I'm not worried about the cost, I'm just saying that you're not gonna get a lot of lots out of, in doing the yield plan, because of the way that the wetland's configured on the lot. There's a lot of buildable land on the property, but the geometry for the lots would be awkward because of, they'd have 700 feet of frontage, and they go back 150 feet. They'd be strange.
How many lots are in that plan I did? I think it was 14, wasn't it?
This, what we are showing is less than anything I've seen in the past. I think that Sanford had done a plan that might have been, how many lots were there, 20? How many lots did they originally have?
Well, Sanford
Yeah, it was-
submitted a cluster, like 24 lots.
24?
That was a few years back.
Yeah.
Well, that was before the regulations had been kind of tightened up a little bit,
Yeah, that
so.
was probably early 90s.
And for an apartment or a condo complex, would they have to ensure that there was 2 parking spaces available for each unit?
I think if we did it like a quadruplex for an apartment, we'd have to come in for actual site plan approval. I think it'd be a subdivision and a site plan.
Well, you could do a condo site plan for the whole thing,
Yeah.
not do a subdivision, but
Yeah.
it's all one thing.
Yeah, I think the intent is, I think what Bill would like to do is get it approved and sell it to,
Sell the condo,
yeah,
not the building.
yeah. Well, that too, I don't know, they might be interested in selling each individual lot or the whole project,
Or build it.
all right?
I didn't hear.
Or build it.
Oh,
So-
okay.
All right, well, we have, at least it's not a no. It sounds like, it
Well,
sounds
no,
like,
you got a variance and you got a yes for
yep,
some kind of apartment / condo.
anything more than
whatever.
2 units, so triplexes and quadruplexes and,
Don't forget though, wetland with an A or B slope is only like 3.5 acres, you got a lot.
yeah, I've been discounting,
Wetland counts.
counts for buildable? I mean, for,
Counts for lot size.
oh,
Class 5 soils counts.
oh, portion, yeah, there's a portion of it in the, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. For the poorly drained, but not very
Oh,
poorly
yeah,
drained.
yeah,
Yeah.
very poor.
All right, well, that's good news. So I guess we've got some choices.
You got a little bit of thinking to do, that's for sure.
So, I don't have any thinking to do. These guys have got some thinking to do.
Okay.
But at least it's something to think about. It's not thinking about what are we gonna do with this piece of property we can't do anything with. All right, thank you very much.
Any other questions, comments?
Got any questions, Bill?
No,
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
excuse me, at one point, commercial was quite flexible. So, you know, you could, it seemed to me, with my memory, you could do quite a variety of things. So that has definitely changed,
Yes.
yeah.
That changed about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say about 10 years ago, though, that changed.
So could we do a subdivision like this, but with bigger lots, and each of one of those has quadruplexes on them? That would be, would that be considered a commercial subdivision?
I don't see why not.
So, yeah, so it's just the use, we can't just have single family or duplex
Right.
lots out there, okay?
Of course, then each individual lot has to meet the loading for the quadruplex from the state and all that kind of stuff,
Yep.
too, but
All right, good, thank you.
actually, the individual lots might be the way to go, because then you get around the water supply problem. You knew that, though, right?
No, well, I knew it, but I
Yeah,
didn't think about it right now.
Community water
I would have
supply.
figured it out by on the way home.
The community
Well,
water.
yeah, we stay away from those. So
Yeah, yeah, don't go there.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good luck. Thank you. I stuck one in the folder, so. Next item on the agenda is Pastor Bill's Master Plan Committee.
So I presented to the select board at the this last Monday, previous Monday, and got some good feedback, and also approval to proceed. So, other than spelling corrections and dealing with 2 sections that have drop-downs, we're planning to meet May 7th to work out the details of how to have a hard copy available. But we'll go forward with the printing of the cover letter and the link. And we'll be open from June, June, July and August, and then we'll close. And then we'll start the process of evaluating the data.
So you're meeting on the 14th, is that what you said?
No, the 7th.
7th.
No, we met with you the 14th, I think. We met with the selectmen the 14th.
Oh, okay, that's where I heard the 14th,
Yeah.
okay. What time do you meet? In case somebody from the public wants to come over and join you.
7 o'clock, it's gonna be on the calendar.
I didn't look at the calendar, I thought I'd ask.
Oh,
It's easier to ask.
May 7th, 7 PM here. There's not much else to report, because we haven't met, and other than the approval, and thankful to Bruce for his insight to the spelling errors that we missed on our first go-around, so.
Let's push the minutes back a little bit and talk about Ilsley's Ice Cream. I think everybody's aware of the parking issue she has out there, where people are parking on the road. And the selectmen sent this to us to determine if there's a violation of the existing site plan.
Right, the only thing we're looking for is to determine if there's a violation, no, the board doesn't do any enforcement action or anything, just look at the site plan, see if there's a violation of the site plan.
So I looked at the site plan, and I noticed there's 7 parking spaces shown on the site plan. And there's a lot more than that out there. So personally, I don't think there's a violation. So,
I agree with no violation, but I have a concern about how do we determine setback for a parking area when it's not clear as to what that means. In our zoning, it says parking to go by setback, so off-street parking only in all cases is our zoning in rural and residential and rural ag. But there was a RSA 674-16-A has on-site parking requirements, and it just says setbacks, it doesn't give you a number. And also under commercial zone, which is not applicable here because it's not commercially zoned, off-street parking, ample parking, and then it says nothing about setbacks.
Where'd you see that in the zoning? Do you know?
24-8, 18-3. In our zoning.
Yes.
RSA 674-16-A is on-site parking requirements, but there's no numbers. It gives you a general description and then an alternative general description that gives guidance supposedly to us or local zoning to determine what that means. But there's no clear guidelines in either of those parts of the document, and there's no other, at least there's no reference in the back of the book to say, here's additional parking descriptions.
But
I
18.1.
interpret it as the 25-foot setbacks you have.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking it is, but it doesn't give us that clear
No.
pertaining to parking in the parking statement as to what that is. So if that's the case, then everything she's parked on the right is non-conforming.
What the site plan show, though? How was that approved?
Doesn't show any on the right.
Doesn't show any on the right?
Shows 7 on the left.
You know,
Okay, so it doesn't show any up against the right.
right. So if we're to say, if those are all individual persons that brought their vehicles, that's 14 people in line. I've been there on a particular night, there's twice as many, 30 people in line,
No, yeah.
which is about the average when you get that big, long line, because other times people show up and say, oh, 30 people, let's go home. So if she's parking on both sides of this, which she is, that's 14 people, if not a carload of 2 or more. There's plenty of parking for what is going on, technically. So I don't believe she's in violation. And number two, she's not promoting parking on the road,
No.
and that's the issue, in my mind.
Now, and I looked at the site plan before, I mean, it doesn't say anything on there about not parking on the road.
Yeah, and there's
She
no.
didn't show parking on the road.
And there's no verbal statement at all in the minutes that identifies, or it's more concerning about the driveway permit, the sign size. There's no reference to how many parking spaces she needs to
I
have.
don't think anybody thought she would have 30-some people in line waiting to get ice cream out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the
So,
same thing.
so
What if they wanted to expand their parking lot? Would they have to come back here to remedy the problem? Would it be a big deal?
Well, so
Well,
or who would, or could the Board of Selectmen, because 18.3.1 says off-street parking only in all cases. Couldn't they put up some no parking signs on the road?
they have them on one side.
They have on one side.
Somebody has on one
Yeah,
side.
but
I don't know
then
who put them up.
why don't we add them on to the other side? And
Well,
then it's whomever parks there, it's their problem,
It's an enforcement issue with
the police.
police.
Yeah,
I don't believe it's a violation of her site plan that's been approved.
I was gonna say, remember, we're only asking if
That's
she's
all
violating.
that's all we're acting on.
Yeah.
Right.
We could advise, as far as code enforcement, that additional signage be put up.
But that's not the charge here.
No.
No. Just to answer your question, if she expands the parking lot by more than 200 square feet, she has to come back here. So, yeah, that's a very big.
Yeah,
2. Yeah, that's one. 10 by 20. Yeah, that's one.
And it's a hard decision, if we want to do code enforcement, which is not our job, she shouldn't be parking on the right unless she has permission from the landowner to the right, which is her mother.
Also where she gets her water, so I'm sure she.
Yeah, so,
actually, I don't think, that's a lot line on the right anyway.
it's not a lot line there, so
Is it a lot
I
line?
thought it was.
Is it?
that's what I was gonna.
I thought it
Okay,
was.
yeah, it is, because the The ice cream stand's on the bigger lot, that doesn't have anything
Yes.
else on it but that sawmill in the old barn.
Right.
Yeah, the original house lot's just a 2-acre lot.
So. There was another thing that.
What happened to mine? How did I lose that? That's the other thing, even when you print things out, you don't have them anymore.
I know, I get all confused. I got everything in order and I still can't find anything I want. Takes me an hour to find it.
Oh, it's right there. No, it's not, it's the minutes.
So there's a reference to the mill, even though it's spelled wrong, will eventually be really raised, which hasn't happened.
Right, that's the way.
So,
You know how when you go to a farm or something, like a farm stand or an apple orchard or something, and people are parking all over the place on the property?
Oh, yeah.
What's the difference between that and what she's doing? Is it because it's a well,
I think it's the volume.
well,
Like you said, there's
Well-
10 or 15 cars in the parking space, and then plus there's sometimes 5 or 6 in the road.
in the road.
Even more
Well,
than
more
that. Or more.
My question is though, is if they had the room, say they had a grassy area next to this place and people actually parked there, she has to come back for a site plan review because people are doing that? I just
Technically,
wanna
yes.
know for my own self.
Technically, yes.
yeah. I mean, I think there was a comment about possibly parking across the street.
It's not their land.
It's not their land, though.
It's the family, but it's not theirs.
Right, it's Robin's land,
Right.
right. So she's on the bigger lot, the 13-acre lot, correct?
I'm not sure.
And I'm not sure, where's the septic behind? On the downward slope behind?
It's pumped up to the septic system. Septic system's up, kinda right behind the stone wall, off the road,
Behind the shed?
behind the old barn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So there's no means to park that way?
There is, but it would be like where the sawmill is.
Right.
You don't want to go down over that hill.
No,
Well, that's not our purview tonight, so. Who are we reporting to?
The select board.
I move we advise or report to the select board, we do not see a violation of the site plan from June 27th, 2013.
Do we have a second? Chuck seconded. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Aye.
You did say aye.
You're abstaining?
No, he said aye.
Speaking of Ilsley's, they got a request to upgrade Al's Drive, which is just down the road from there, to the right, I believe.
Well, it's down at the bottom.
Pardon me?
It's down at the bottom.
Yeah.
Before you get to the other road on the left.
I have a,
Do we?
You have a plan?
sequence of plans here. This was approved, it took like one, two, three, 4 different approvals to approve it. There was, and this is in chronological order how they're approved, so don't mix them up. So you can, start with, this is the first one approved, and this, the one on the bottom is the last one approved.
What's the
So
one-
it's,
what's the
it
little one
happened
on
in
top?
phases. And the top is just the overall, off the GIS. So first there was some lots approved along Sugar Hill Road. And then there was like the first phase of road that goes in off of that with a couple lots.
Oh, this is the road here.
This is,
Then there was another phase with like 3 lots. And the final phase of 1 or 2 lots.
When was the last approval?
well, this map is March 26, 2025.
Yeah, that's just a GIS map.
83, 84. Let's see the date on this one. All right, 86. So we got one in, I don't know what that,
Looks like March.
March 25th, 1986, and then the latest is August
86 again?
of 86, right?
And they were all approved by the planning board at the time.
So this is an example of what we were discussing 6 months ago about private roads just being perpetuated.
Yeah, but this is really, this was, I don't think it was ever intended to be a private road. It was approved, but we didn't have any road standards then. We didn't have any subdivision requirements then.
Right. So what do we,
So the first I assume Ilsley still owned lot 150, the 19-acre piece. Or,
I don't know. I don't think they do.
okay, let me rephrase that. I assume lot 150, the 19-acre piece is still one piece of property. Yes.
is that lot 196? Yes, they
Yes.
own that still.
Big piece.
Okay.
Yes. The Allen Ilsley Trust, trustee is Douglas.
Well, because the reason I ask is because they would still own the road. That's what I was making sure of.
Right, and they're the ones making the petition.
Yes. Okay.
I figured that was the best way to explain it.
Yeah, it wasn't as simple as I thought it was gonna be. Not that I thought it was gonna be simple, but
So, I mean, they're looking to get the town to accept the road. But they're not asking, they'll pay to get it
Yeah.
to the level it needs to be at.
So they need a site plan for that, right? Because that doesn't suffice, does it?
they would need an as-built.
Well, and have the
Who would
regulations
supervise
changed
them
since
to bring it up to the
1986?
town standard?
There weren't any then,
Yeah. So,
They were very-
I would think
they
you
were
would
very-
have to submit a plan
They were very loose then, I mean,
in conjunction with current standards.
I went through something like this in Wyndham. When was that? Late 90s? On a 600-foot stretch of road. We did a boring diagonal that paced 100 feet, so we did 6 borings to make sure we had the structural section that's approved in the road. in that case, we had it, 'cause we had like we had a lot of pavement, 8 inches of pavement or something like that, it was ridiculous. But that's my concern, is in 86, I doubt they put down, what is it, 18 inches of crushed, or 18 inches of gravel and 12 inches of crushed gravel, and then the pavement.
Yep.
I doubt that that's there.
There was nobody using crushed gravel nowhere in 1986.
Well, they were in Colorado.
Not here.
I wasn't here then.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't recall the road
I've never been out that road.
being mushy in mud season or, because we plowed
Many
a
times.
customer, we had a customer on that road
What's the road like?
for one season,
Not a bad
or
road.
actually one storm, and it was that marginal, their driveway was soft, so it was like, we were regrading the driveway anyways, but the road wasn't that way, so I don't know what's technically there. And Fisk has been out to look, I don't know what he saw, so.
Yeah, but today, isn't there some requirements to do testing or whatever to come up with a design?
Well, that's what the as-built would have to show, that it meets current regulations, vertically and horizontally. Would think we need borings or something to find out what is there structurally. I assume there's no underdrain. Chuck just mentioned it was kind of mushy in the ditches.
Well, that whole area is soupy.
I was gonna say, I do know what Lindsay Drive looks like, because we walked out there.
Yeah, the first couple hundred feet is
Yeah,
across the
once you
wetlands
get up
there.
over the hill, that's, Lindsay Drive's nice, but
Yeah.
that whole, even that subdivision, 3-lot subdivision we approved, has got water moving
Right.
all over the place.
Right, they did, yep.
What's this?
That's where GIS thinks the road is. Same as they think the road's there, but it should be there. But that's just a tax map thing, in my opinion. It may be in the wrong place, which is another totally different question, but is it horizontally, is it in the right of way?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Like that property up on Barnett Hill Road.
Yeah,
What is it? See, this is the request, taking the existing road and calling it a road.
I mean, they officially petitioned, so we have to do something. I don't blame them, that's what,
Well,
forcing our hand to do something, which is probably a good.
I
good
think
area.
there still needs to be a site plan as to how we know what the cross-section of that road's gonna look like, et cetera, et cetera. Is it gonna meet our qualifications for today? Obviously, it's not gonna meet what's there, because 83 is totally different than today. So there has to be some type of, I'm concerned about an as-built that will not be sufficient,
That's why I'm saying, that's why I'm saying borings.
yeah. So how do they,
So we know what's
how do we
down there.
come to that? How do we, I mean, if they do the borings and everything looks good, that's one thing, but we need to instruct them to do that.
Well, it's pretty narrow too.
I mean, they're willing to do that to a class 5 town-maintained road.
To try to make this somewhat economical for them, so they can have a point to say, no go or go. I think I would recommend them doing a site walk with Steve Keach. And at least one or two or three or four of us. Cause we had Steve Keach out there walk that. We can see the pavement's only 20 feet wide, we can see there's no ditch in this side, we need a ditch, and then give Ilsley's, would at least have some kind of Steve could give them a rough idea what the cost
Punch list
would
of
be.
what to do.
Yeah, and an idea what the cost would be. I mean,
Well, wouldn't the road construction company
well,
and
that's-
surveyor be
if they know
doing
what
that
to-
already?
is the road construction company just gonna put a piece of coat of pavement down and walk away? Well,
They're not a paving company, they're road construction.
What kind of road are they building?
Yeah, I know.
Gravel driveway, gravel road, yeah, it's,
Well, I think that's a right action, right? If there's a site walk with, that's actionable, right?
Yes.
I think that'd be
First
the
step.
first step.
And then after that, if we feel that it has to be a site plan, we'll go for that. Or as-built with these or,
Well,
Exemptions,
depending on what happens there, site plans are long-term, I would say a road construction plan or something like that coming to us, coming to the selectmen, to us via the selectmen, because all these plans should go to the selectmen. Because they're the one being petitioned, not us. Right?
right,
We are.
because you have to be,
You know
They're the
way
ones
I-
who sign off if
Everybody
it's-
knows the way I'm staring
if
at
it's a
the-
town
Mr.
road, right?
Selectman over there, right?
you sign off as to whether it's a town road.
Right, we accept the road, right.
Yes.
At your recommendation.
Possibly. I do think borings every 100 feet would be a minimum, and if those borings were, variable, like some are okay, some aren't, and you wanna do more in between them, to substantiate what you got. Because I think that whatever plan you give to the road construction company is gonna say, as a for instance, starting at station 6+10, you're gonna rip everything up and rebuild it to station 7+50. 750 to 780, you add a little bit of pavement, but you're gonna be very specific in that plan what somebody's gonna do. And then, of course, Steve Keach's company has to inspect the construction also.
Yeah, well, we really redid the road rig, so,
Yes. We didn't change the structural section.
no, but the width's a little bit.
Right. What we really changed was the maximum tangent length and the curve radius and some things like that, but I think that's gonna be okay with that.
Yeah, it's not a straight road.
No. Even if it is, I think we could waive that requirement.
Yeah, it's a planning board regulation, it can be waived.
Right.
So you want to talk to Steve and maybe get an idea on what he thinks it's gonna cost, so we could get some money put
I
up?
love Bob Palmer, here's a curve with no radius shown.
That surprise you?
No, 'cause I don't think he'd know how to do it. Oh, this page has one.
You're gonna go with 86, the last one,
Yeah, that's what I was.
which is just an addition. It's not the full picture.
No, but there's a little bit of, he has the radius on the curve here at least. I bet it doesn't work with me, never mind. I'll be quiet.
So we need to get an amount from Steve on an estimate on what it's gonna cost to put a report together, so we can, get a deposit.
I think that'd be the way to go, have Steve give an estimate for him to walk it and come up with a, not necessarily a final punch list, but at least
A plan of attack,
an investigation, whatever you wanna call it.
yeah.
You know, find some funny things. What's the minimum standard on a class 5 dirt road? Width,
24 feet.
24 feet?
Yep.
As opposed to ditches and.
No, the new regs say that? I thought that was narrow,
Well, we might have changed it to 20 for some reason,
based on the number of lots.
yes, we did change that too. What's that far back? Low volume, 20-foot, we gotta read more here. We might be able to get down to 20.
What article are you in?
Page 30, Article 8.2 with the subdivision regs. All utilities have to be underground, be less than 24 feet wide. Again, we can waive that.
Subdivision regs.
Oh. Thanks. That's the next section.
if we make the assumption there's no potential for roadway development or expansion, that's the first key to the whole thing. Then we can talk about reducing the road length. So you'd have to agree, it's never gonna get expanded and more, further subdivide lot 196, or go into 210, obviously. You got the low volume road, 0 to 100 trips per day. You will have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lots max, probably 7, that's 70 trips a day, 10 trips per year. So that gets you down to 20-foot wide. 12 inches crushed, 6 inches gravel. It's not as bad as I thought it was. Side slope of the ditches probably got to be widened, but 2-foot shoulder. You know, then you gotta get a mailbox kiosk, so you're back to 4-foot shoulder.
So you're looking at the subdivision regs?
Yes,
Because,
page 20,
yep,
if that's easier for you.
no street shall be recommended for acceptance to the Board of Selectmen until it has had at least a base coat of pavement for 1 year and has been approved by the planning board and their engineer in accordance with this ordinance.
Do they have the 50-foot right-of-way already in there, or was that, back then, that wasn't real?
Looks like they have it. But again, I didn't see the radius on those two things, so I don't, it looks like they have it, 'cause they have 51.9 feet at the frontage. It's a diagonal distance. Well, the one place he does show the radius, he has 51 feet of front, 51-foot wide road. No, 51.3-foot wide road. We'll let the surveyor figure out what that is. The surveyor of record, excuse me. I mean, I'm worried about I'm worried about the structural section. Are the organics removed underneath it? Maybe the organics aren't removed, what do you do, rip up the whole road to get rid of the organics, rebuild the whole road? 86, my guess would be the organics are still there, at least some of them.
Don't know.
Maybe the stumps are out, but the topsoil's still there?
Couldn't
Who
tell you.
knows? Who knows?
Depends who did it.
Yep. They were in my parking lot. We just did 2 years ago.
I think my suggestion would be to have Ilsley's listen to this conversation. And we can ask Steve for a price to walk it and come up with a scope, I guess.
So do we need a motion for that?
We are recommending to the selectmen again.
That's all?
Yes.
So who's gonna talk to Steve, you or selectmen?
I'd like the planning board to do it.
Want me to email Mr. Keach, is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So do we need to move on that?
Do I have to get permission from the selectmen to spend money talking to Mr. Keach?
Well, we're gonna get it back from the applicant, the petitioner.
Okay. Yes, please make a motion, just CYA. CMA, whichever.
So move that Chairman Francisco have the responsibility to make a contact with Steve Keach about a site walk for Al's Drive, at his convenience.
Yeah, I'd like to find out what he's gonna charge to do that.
Yes, and the cost involved
At least the initial cost to
in
get
that
that part done.
site walk,
Yeah.
which would include representatives from this committee along with Mr. Keach and the applicant.
Second.
So we're really asking for a site walk and a report.
Correct. So, yes,
Okay.
but you still have to give,
Yes.
An estimate for a site walk.
yes. Do we get to submit our fee?
Pardon me?
Do we get to submit our fee?
They can't afford me.
Okay.
Well, I retired last May. I got really expensive really fast. Just ask Ray. I'm gonna add to
Talk
this
about that later.
discussion, we'd probably want to do this on a late afternoon site walk. Would that be true?
Yes.
Am I allowed?
Sure.
Oh, yeah,
Just because you can't vote doesn't mean you're not allowed to come along and talk.
okay.
Have all kind of ideas. Okay, so I'll try to have Steve come up with a cost.
So we have a motion and a second on the table.
Oh, yes, sorry. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Leave this piece of paper out. And that one, yes, thank you.
So to get the road approved, do they have to have their ditch lines and everything to spec? Because by now, I'm sure they're filled in.
Unless we waive it.
Yes.
Oh, you can waive them?
We can, I don't know if we can waive it or not in this case. I think we'd make a
No.
recommendation to the to the select board to waive certain items or not. And the select board would be the one accepting it, not us.
Well, it's the kind of thing, if you accept a road that's not quite, now the town has to take care of it.
Right.
So you kind of want to have it in
You
pretty
want it
good
right.
condition before you take it, because you're going to have to take care of it from now
Right.
on.
You want it right, because you're not gonna be able to get any help later. You wanna pass those on to Mr.?
You can have those.
I can have all of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, I appreciate
Well,
that.
you need to be in the turnaround.
Well, if the ditch shoulder needs widened,
But you also gotta turn plow trucks around.
yeah, you gotta have a turnaround, yes, all that. That's why you get Mr. Keach involved.
You know if Ron Nordstrom's still with us?
Pardon?
Ron Nordstrom, his father? No, he's gone.
I think, I don't know if he's, I think he's still living, I haven't heard otherwise, but
He used to like us.
he was a good guy.
That's-
He'd be a pain, but he was a good guy. Minutes from 3:27.
Correction on line 8,
Jeez.
I'm secretary, not just a member. Secondly, on line 18, which is not there, is a blank, an appointment of Ray as a voting member.
We're- I thought I saw something else, and I don't remember what it was now. I guess not.
Move to accept the minutes with noted changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
You abstain?
Yeah, abstain, sorry. Yeah, I wasn't here.
Okay. 401.
Anybody else have any other business?
Yep,
I do, but, yep, go.
we have to appoint officers.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yes, we do. Chuck's got it written down, his motion's all written down.
Should I make a motion at this point in time?
Sure, go for it.
Move that, retain Craig Francisco as chairman. Do I need three separate motions?
No, just do it all one time.
I move that vice chair be passed to Bill Stockhouse, and I move that the secretary be Raymond I.
I don't have the legs for that.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion. I just want to point out that the person making the motion is the only one that's not a official on the list. Just want to point that out to everybody. It's true, okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Chuck.
Don't be so hesitant.
Any other?
Yeah, I gotta swear Danny Jean in.
Oh, you gotta swear Danny Jean in?
Yeah, I missed that. It was buried under something else.
I'm already twice sworn to the Constitution, I gotta swear again.
Yeah, I don't think I got sworn in every time. Maybe.
I did it with the town clerk.
Yeah, maybe.
The paper's in the folder, what are we gonna do?
Oh, I probably did when I renewed my dog license,
Yeah.
probably.
Raise your hand.
She's not gonna raise her right hand.
Which Constitution? It says this Constitution, which Constitution?
This one.
United States.
Okay, then I, Danny Jean Stewart, do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm that I will faithfully, impartially discharge and perform all duties incumbent upon me as planning board alternate member for a term of 3 years, according to the best of my abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations of the U.S. Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire. So help me God.
Good.
Sign it.
Naomi mentioned to me that the select board is not gonna have certain meetings during the summer,
Yeah, we're going to first and third Mondays.
and she suggested we might want to consider not meeting on the
First?
first,
On the second
second,
Thursday?
second and fourth, yeah. Eliminate our first meeting,
Eliminate the first meeting,
yes.
or eliminate the second meeting?
First meeting. The second meeting is always for public hearings.
Yeah, the second meeting's the real
Applications.
meeting.
Right,
This is for
okay.
the summer?
Yes, but I have a suggestion before we get much further. I think we should get the zoning ordinance changes that we talked about last fall finalized pretty much ASAP. Because I think, and I don't know what Bruce has heard, but I heard that the Senate bill with the Senate/House bill, something with the 1.5 to 2 acre maximum lot size is probably gonna pass. And that's for 51% of the residentially zoned land in the town. Which means I think we need to, which would be effective July 26, by the way. If that passes, it gives us basically between then and November, December to figure out how we wanna make our zoning work. I mean, the village
So
is,
that's a different,
that's a whole different zoning amendment.
correct, than what we have on the docket.
I think you could almost do it as, instead of, we doing a whole bunch of zoning language, can you do it by rezoning a lot more land in the R zone and take it out of the
Yeah.
RA zone?
Right, but how much? Where?
But, right, it's gonna take some calculations
Yeah,
to figure that out.
Where is a big question.
Right.
I mean, yes, yeah, you take the village district and you take whatever else, I guess that's probably about it. Well, we might be able to, depending how it's worded, we might be able to use commercial since you had to put a threeplex in a commercial.
Right, depends on the final wording.
Right.
Right.
To figure out what percentage we have now and how much more acreage we need to put into that.
So you're just concerned about time available to put into it,
Right,
not how it's gonna affect whatever we're doing now?
correct.
Okay,
It's not something we're gonna be able to do in 2 months.
right.
Well,
Maybe, but I doubt it.
the new master plan survey, we're kind of sitting on that to see,
I'm kinda hoping we get the results back for that at the same time everything else happens. In the meantime, we get all the other. My thinking is that we had like 6 articles we wanted to propose last year, maybe it's 4. we can get those done in June. About that time, we're gonna start getting master plan stuff back. And we'll know if that article's gonna pass. If the article doesn't pass, we're home free. If it does pass, then we gotta look at the master plan and figure out what we're gonna do.
So the key to your concern is that we can't take conceptuals, we can't take add-ons at the last minute at that first meeting of the month. It has to be a work section for those. Because that's what throws us off. So if we're not gonna meet in July and August, that's just 2 meetings.
Right,
But it's just May and June is 2 meetings.
right.
And that's not enough time to get done what we need to get done.
I agree 100% with what you're saying. I started this conversation saying, Naomi said the selectmen are taking time off. I don't think we should.
I agree. I don't think we should.
I think we need to get all those other old zoning things we talked about last fall.
And mainly because how the summer works and whatever gets added to our docket takes away from our work session.
Right.
And so it comes back to making last-ditch efforts, or we've talked about it, now we just need to formulate it, and we're not having enough time to formulate it. So I agree not taking the summer off.
Everybody agree?
Yeah, well, the selectmen are meeting 4 times a month.
Right.
We still only meet twice, so
Right.
we'll meet the same amount
We're
of
still
times.
meeting twice a month.
You're still gonna meet twice a month, yeah.
Naomi mentioned we might want us to consider it, so we considered it.
Yeah. Twice a month is probably better.
What surprised me, last fall was the solar array, which seemed like a slam dunk. Drew a lot of attention,
Sure did, didn't it?
it did. And I think it's,
Well, it draws a lot of attention if,
tougher than you think.
Well, as soon as we stuck it, as soon as we said it was allowed in the rural agricultural district, therefore it's allowed in, what, 60% of the towns, 70% of the towns? That opened up a lot, big can of worms. There's lots of things we can do with
if
that,
you've
though.
been to some of these solar farms, not all, but probably 60% of the solar farms
But a full can.
that we've worked on are a disaster. They truly are a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
There's one right now, 20-acre site, I won't say what town it's in. We prepped, well, oddly prepped the whole site. We hydroseeded the whole thing. It was supposed to be established before they came in and put in it wasn't. They came in, they tore up the ditch lines, they were driving their equipment through the wetlands, through the ditch lines. The people that come to erect these solar fields couldn't care less about what they're doing. They just wanna get these things up as fast as possible. But what they leave is impossible to fix, because they ruin the land under the posts and everything. You can't get a piece of equipment under there anymore. You can't hand rake 20 acres.
Right.
And right now, they've got water backed up in one of the, detention swales. It's spilling over into the wetlands, you got silt going everywhere, and they don't care. So Unitil is telling Audley, can you come back and fix it? We can't get on the site, because the access roads we had, they got solar panels over these, they don't care. We did another one in another town, it's even worse. They did it on a landfill cap. So there wasn't supposed to be any more than 5 PSI of pressure on the landfill cap. So when we first did all the sock and the erosion control around there, the idiot who was in charge of putting up these solar farms and things came to me and said, "Oh, you have to prove to me that your four-wheeler doesn't put more than 5 PSI. I said, what are you, stupid? A four-wheeler? The whole thing weighs 900 pounds. It's on low-pressure tires, because I was doing my spray paint work. I'm not walking a mile. So they start putting up the solar panels. They rent concrete buggies. Tore up the landfill. I don't know if they touched the cap. They got ruts 2 feet deep in between all of the rows, right? Then they've got cable trays just laid on top of the ground arbitrarily. Now, mind you, these things are supposed to last 25 years. I don't think they're gonna last 2 years. Because how is anybody gonna maintain the trees and the grasses? They don't have any conception of all the trees that are gonna grow in here. Trees grow naturally in New Hampshire. Most of these companies are out of Texas. And so this is the experience we've had. where they ask us to go back and fix something that's impossible to fix. It's a mess.
Right.
Some of them are nice. We did a few, you know, in Conway that turned out really nice, the water department and all. But 60% of the ones I've been on are catastrophic.
We'd like to prevent that.
Well, a lot of the towns that have nice ones now, it's because the planning boards in those towns are very experienced on how these things are supposed to be. And they put a lot of stipulations in the permit. And you have to.
But you gotta have inspection the whole time too.
Yes.
So what are the zoning amendments that we need to be working on?
That's one of them.
Bruce had the in-law apartment size.
I don't know if I'd worry about that. How's that going with the state?
Detached ADUs?
We can still change the definition, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah,
Solve
yeah,
that-
yeah, yeah.
Solve that real easy.
That's right.
I'm gonna do the wetland thing.
Wetlands?
Someone's doing roads, huh?
No, we're done with roads. Solar arrays or not?
Oh, yeah, we gotta hit solar arrays. At least try to. There was two more.
Would, it's detached ADU or an ADU?
It was defining the living area.
Livable area or living area, something like that.
Yeah. And that would apply to any of them across the board, so.
Right. It's just a definition,
Right.
and that would go under the, well, be living area for anything,
There's
not
a,
just
there's
ADUs,
a
but
spec of
even
ADU
residents.
though.
Okay,
But the other thing you're gonna need to change potentially is, if this new ADU law passes, you're not gonna be able to,
Have to
make
get-
them get a special exception.
Yes, and you gotta get rid of the, gotta.
so that
get
would,
rid of the
so
attachment.
language,
Right,
potential language,
right.
if it passes, which we don't know.
I
Who
guess
has
we
it?
should-
Senate has it right now?
I don't know which one has it.
Yeah, crossover day happened, anything from the House is going to the Senate right now. So if it originated in the House and passed in the House, it's with the Senate right now.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it passed in the House, right?
It passed in the House narrowly, but it did pass. So the Senate has it.
We can go back to the November, December minutes and figure that out pretty quick, what ordinance we had last year.
Right, but we were finishing, the January minutes would give us the clearer,
Maybe.
because those are the ones we were on, public record to discuss.
There was a couple other ones though.
I'll go look. Or maybe Ray should, he's the,
That's true, that sounds like the secretary's job, doesn't it?
you don't have to, I'll look.
Well, I'll do it.
That was the most graceful voluntelling I've ever witnessed. You've been voluntold.
Anything else? The Packers are probably gonna pick the draft about 45 minutes, so I still have time. Hey, some things are important, okay?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
What'd you say, Pats?
Packers.
Oh, the Packers,
Oh,
oh.
yeah, I don't care about the Packers. Page is probably already picked. And maybe not. Maybe
I'm
pick
picking the Packers.
23.
23.
Yes. Check out my new, see my new shoelaces, huh? Aren't those nice?
Wow,
I highly recommend if you're talking about
Free.
football draft day, I highly recommend the movie Draft